Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. Today's guest is Roy Castleman, entrepreneur, adventurer, AI strategist, and the creator of all the power methodology. At just 19 years, Roy survived a devastating accident that after being hit by a drunk driver traveling 70 miles per hour on a South African motorway, line broken on the side of the road. He wasn't focused on the pain. He was consumed by regrets over everything he hadn't yet done with his life. That moment became the blueprint for how he would live moving forward. What followed was a complete transformation. Roy became a certified Wim Hof instructor, explored extreme resilience through skydiving and Arctic ice freediving, immersed himself deeply in AI and business systems, and created a framework designed to help entrepreneurs reclaim their life, their time, clarity, health, and purpose before burnout consumes them. Today, Roy helps business owners build lives they are genuinely proud of, not just businesses that look successful on paper. Roy, welcome to Conversations with Sekani. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much for having me. Great to be here.
Um, all right. Yes. So, Roy, can you please take us back to, what happened at 19, right? What was, going through your mind lying on that motorway?
The strain, I call it my white line moment.
Mm,
Here I was lying on the white line, and I don't remember the pain. I just remember the regret. I
mm,
remember regretting not having told my mom I loved her. I remember
mm,
regretting all the things I hadn't done. And from that moment forward, I changed. Well, I didn't think I was going to survive it. There were cars whizzing past me. These two amazing people had stopped their car to protect
mm,
me. Yeah, and they were standing at about my head and my foot. And yeah, I thought that was it. I thought I was at the end of my life, my life. And yeah, that I look back at that as my one of my best moments
mm,
because without that, I wouldn't have done nearly as many things as I have done.
Right. Wow. Okay. First of all, I'll say thank God for life, right? That you're still alive and nothing happened after that. But looking back at your younger years, right? What do you think you were chasing before the accident that actually changed your perspective? And what do you think you're chasing now?
Well, I think yeah, we're in a different world now.
Right.
So much so from what we were then. Yeah, I don't think I was necessarily chasing anything. I was just surviving, right? I was just going through the motions of, yeah, life. Yeah, I knew
Mm,
I'd come out of school. Well, actually, I was still in school. I was still in college doing accountancy, and we had at that stage a way that we expected to go through life. We expected to finish
mm,
school and get a job, and just do this process that everyone did to survive. And
mm,
I realized at that point that there's so much more to life. There's so much more that we can do. And since then, I've traveled to 150 countries in the world. I've met thousands of people and done some crazy
mm.
things.
Right. Wow. Okay. So now I would say you're living life to the fullest, right? And yeah, I want us to talk about, entrepreneurship, failure, and reinvention. You built multiple seven-figure businesses and you achieved major success, but you've also experienced devastating setbacks. So how did that, crash, right? Still back to the crash. How did it change you,
No,
literally?
I don't think. Yeah, I think that not that moving on from the crash. I think that as we go through
Mm,
life, we have an opportunity to look at failure. And
mm,
when we're looking at failure, we can look at failure as opportunity, or we can look at failure
right.
as something negative. And if we look at failure as something negative, we go down this spiral
mm,
of depression, of anxiety, of all of these kind of things. But if we look at
mm,
failure as a way that we learn, I've learned my biggest lessons through failure, and I look for my next failures now. I have a principle called 99 steps, and you
mm,
have to go and get something wrong 99 times before you get it right. And if you look at those 99 steps in a way that every time you have a failure, so long as you're learning from that failure, you're
mm,
learning to take yourself further in life. You can go to school and you can go and learn how to run a business, right?
mm,
But the first time you start running a business, you realize actually that school didn't teach you very much. You've got so much more to learn, and you only learn that through experience. And if you're hiding away from failure, if you're scared of failure, you never actually learn.
mm. Wow. All right. So it's about how we look at failure, right? And most importantly, one should see failure as an opportunity, right? You should see it as, okay, I've learned something. I think this is the way to go about it now. And then you should see it as you exploring different options, right? So always look at failure as an opportunity. Right. Okay. So you've also openly spoken about reaching a point where you actually contemplated suicide, right? Because I'm saying all these things because most people currently are at that phase of their life, right? And they do not know how to get past it. So it's important to, have a guest that have gone through all that and tell us, okay, this is normal sometimes, and this is how to, navigate it. So, you've contemplated suicide. What helped you begin rebuilding from that rock bottom?
I think you have to understand that when you get to rock bottom, it is actually a
Hmm.
very solid launching pad.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is when you actually, I've had a couple of times, the 2008 crash where we lost a lot of money, and then
Hmm.
in 2021 when I was involved during COVID in a massive business that failed,
Hmm.
which was when I contemplated suicide. You
Hmm.
have to accept the worst case scenario, and
Hmm.
that sounds easier sometimes than it is. But when you really accept the worst case scenario, I had, before COVID, I had £1 million in the bank. I had businesses doing very well, and then after COVID, I didn't know. I had to call my mom and say to my mom, "Can I come and live in your spare room? If this all fails, can I live in your spare room?" And when I accepted the worst case scenario, when I accepted, okay, I'm going to be bankrupt, I'm going to have nothing, and I the pressure actually went away, right? All the pressure went away because I wasn't responsible for everybody else then. I was only responsible for myself. And I know I can go out and I can make money. I can know I have enough skills to go. If I need to, I can go and work at the local supermarket, right? And I can provide for myself. Yeah. And once you get to that point of acceptance and you accept the worst case scenario, then you don't have to live the worst case scenario. You can accept the worst case scenario, and then every day becomes a step towards, making it better. And I didn't
Hmm.
actually go bankrupt myself at that point. I didn't go and live with my mom. I didn't. I managed to build up again, and I managed to take the lessons that I learned from that whole process, and slowly but surely become a much more physically strong, a much happier, much mentally more balanced person than I was before then. So you accept the worst case scenario, you step forward, and you realize, okay, now every day, what am I going to do? Anxiety and depression are very strange things, and I'm not a therapist, but I do understand real world and real life. When I get up in the morning, I have a pot of energy, and I've got 100% energy in the morning when I wake up. As soon as I start thinking about yesterday and the things that went wrong, I start giving energy away to yesterday. As soon as I think about tomorrow and worry about the things that I need to do tomorrow, I give energy away to tomorrow. And if I give 30% of my energy away to yesterday, to think about the problems that I had in the past, and I give 30% of my energy away to tomorrow, worrying about the things that are coming, I only have 40% of energy left for today. So by living in the moment, by living today, you can give your best work today. And then what happens is tomorrow becomes a better day. And when tomorrow becomes a better day, then the yesterday that you're thinking of is actually a better day. And this really compounds as you go forward. My work combines AI wellness and business systems. And the reason these are important is because we live in an AI world now. No matter whether we're scared of it or not, this is the new world that we're in. And if people are scared of AI, then they miss a big opportunity. AI allows us to think about things differently. AI allows us to get time back, allows us to think more. We can't use AI as something that does all the work, but we can use AI as a way to think more effectively. However, if you're running a business, the next thing, once you have some time back, you need to put your wellness first. Because if you're not putting your wellness first, you're never going to be powerful enough to do what you need to do. And then, I use business operating systems, we call them, because many of the things that I've learned over the last 35 years in business come from this understanding that we don't need to learn everything. Other people have done this. And I think as business owners, what we end up doing is we end up trying to figure it out ourselves. And why figure it out yourself when somebody else has already learned those lessons?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So,
I think my methodology, my one thing that I try and do, I have a methodology where I want business owners to live the life they love. I want business owners. Business owners to me are the most special people in the world. We see a problem in the
mm,
world, we go out, we try and fix that problem, we step out of our comfort zone, and we actually have to take a risk to go and offer the world a solution. And reclaiming your time is often the first goal. I want freedom. And what if you're not careful within the business space, what you end up with is you build yourself a prison because you end up doing 14-hour days, 7 days a week, which I've done. So now if you can reclaim time and you can think about your energy and clarity in such a way that you work 4 hours a day rather than 15 hours a day, over 7 days, you can actually live the life you love. And you don't need to go and do all the work. You need to work on your business, not in your business.
mm,
You need to be careful of what you think success is. Many
mm,
people chasing success in their 20s, what does that look like for you? Does that just mean money? Because for me, having money hasn't necessarily been the thing that's made my life worth living. Having connections, having real relationships, being able to travel. Okay, money's important, but money's not the main thing. I've sat there with £1 million in the bank and had no time to do anything. And I've sat there with £10 in the bank and had the best time. So you need to get a balance between those things. And a meaningful life to me is to be able to go out, to meet people, to have experiences. So I really work towards making sure I have enough money to do the things I want to do, but I'm not just chasing money, I'm chasing experiences.
mm, Wow. Okay, Roy. So I would say thank you so much for such a insightful conversation. That highlights the power of success and health and also purpose, right? Living a purposeful life. And yes, this brings me to the final segment of my podcast. I call it the rapid fire segment. So, starting now, what is one habit that transformed your life?
Doing something rather than waiting for something. You need to do
Mm,
something. Take action.
mm,
When you're in motion, you can change. When you're stopped, you can't start.
Wow. All right. So, what scares you more, failure or regret?
I regret 100%.
Okay, and finally, what does freedom mean to you now?
Freedom means that I can take my passport
Hmm.
today and I can go to the airport and travel wherever I want to travel.
Wow. All right. So yes, once again, thank you, Roy, for you sharing such beautiful insights with us, and also for your patience too, Roy. And yes, before you go, where can listeners get to learn more about your work and also take your business assessments that you mentioned earlier?
So if you go on to allthepower.co.uk, you
Mm.
can read all about me there. And if people want to get me on LinkedIn, I'm Roy Castleman.
All right. Okay. All the power. Yes. And to my listeners, I'd say thanks for tuning into Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, just as it did in me, make sure to share to someone who you think might need this, and also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes. Once again, thank you, Roy, and I'll put the links in the show notes so it is easily accessible for listeners. Once again, thank you, Roy, and do you have a wonderful day ahead of you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, take care. Bye.